Last year, I set out to accomplish a very ambitious goal. My goal this year is to create one game for every single month of 2023. But you've read the title. I did not make 12 games in 12 months. And I'm making this video because I want to talk to you about that. On January 8th, 2023, I published 2 videos. The first was the death of my indie game. In that video, I announced that I was not going to continue work on my game Nightmare Hunter, and I also announced my goal for the year, which was to create one game for every month of 2023. The second video was the first devlog towards this goal, showing off my game for January, Big Chicken. Then, on the 22nd of January, I published Big Chicken and put out my second devlog announcing its release. Everything was going great. I just made a game and 3 videos, all in only a month. The year was off to a good start. In February, I did it again, releasing my second game of the year, Tumble Tundra, before the month was over. I finally figured out a good way to incorporate my hand-drawn art style into my game dev workflow, and I think the result speaks for itself. But this is where Eli's game-making train started going off the rails. Tumble Tundra is a game that I am very proud of, but its creation came at a cost. I had to grind to finish that game before the end of the month, and the stress and exhaustion was starting to wear me down. While I was working on Tumble Tundra, I received a DM on Discord from someone who wanted to collaborate with me. They knew how to write networking code for Gamemaker. Not only that, they already had a server set up that they were running tests on. And man, do you know how long I wanted to make a multiplayer game? This was my golden opportunity. So I came up with this whole concept for a wizard fighting game, repurposing the movement system from Super Rocket Monkey. I was so excited. I was convinced this game was going to be a big hit, and surely we could do it all in a month, right? No, of course not. Of course not. No. Building a game with networking is a whole other beast. And it was pretty silly of me to think that we could do it all in a month. Especially because neither me or this person, no fault to them at all, had ever actually, finished a multiplayer game in Gamemaker before. Or in any engine for that matter. So, about 2 weeks in, we realized this. And for me, that means I've got to figure out a new project because I need to publish something before the end of March. And I now only have 2 weeks left. We talked for a while about continuing work on the project sort of in the background and then maybe releasing it later in the year, but eventually just kind of fizzled out. So with my grand dreams of a multiplayer game dead, I needed to figure out a new idea. But when I went to come up with this new idea, I had nothing. This was because of the, I guess you could call it, conceptual cycle that I'd been operating on for the 2 previous games that I'd put out. For Big Chicken, I had conceptualized that whole game and sort of figured out the plan before January had even started. For Tumble Tundra, I had that idea second week of January. By the end of January, the sketches are done, the concept is done, it's all ready for me to actually build, and the same thing happened for the wizard fighting game. I had everything planned out about middle of February. By the end of February, I'm ready to go. And when that idea sort of fell through, I didn't have anything as a backup. So I spent about a week trying out ideas, not really liking any of them, until eventually I only had a week left. And so I decided I was just going to remake one of my older games and put that out. I'm really lucky, March is a longer month, and I was able to publish my 3rd game of the year, Midnight Mice, alongside my 5th devlog of the year on March 31st. I did it. I got another game out, but I was starting to reach my limit. To finish the game and video in time, I had to do it all in basically 8 days, which was stressful, meant I was doing a lot of late nights, and so I was really tired at the end of it. So going into April, I'm feeling pretty burnt out. But luckily, I'd been chatting with Luke Creamers, who's another game dev YouTuber, and we decided that we're going to work on a project together. It was great timing because I needed the help. Just doing art and letting Luke handle the programming and level design would really take a load off. And it was going all right. I was definitely feeling the burnout and was beginning to struggle with my motivation, but progress was still being made. Then I got sick. And at the worst possible time too, right at the end of the month, right before the big push to finish the project. And so I missed my first deadline of the year and did not publish a game for April. But eventually, we did get the game out. On May 27th, we published Sightseeker, and I put out a video announcing it and explaining why it got delayed. So it only took 2 months to finish the project, and all things considered, that's not too bad. And after publishing Sightseeker, I got fired up again. There is still time to recover, I told myself. The 12 games will be made, I said. And this next game was gonna be big. The concept was perfect. The scope was very reasonable. I planned it all out so that it could be completed in 2 weeks, leaving me another 2 weeks to make game number 6 and get fully caught up on my goal. Unfortunately, I was not aware that I had already reached my limit. My 2-week timeline was based on the pace that I had been able to work during crunch time for my previous projects. But as I began to work, it became clear to me that I had no more crunch left. By this point, I was already so drained by the past 5 months. I had been doing all of this game development and video editing on top of working my actual job 5 days a week. I was working on my projects during most, if not all, of my spare time. And I was working late too. During my crunch times, I was working until 2 a.m. most nights, and then getting up at 9, doing my actual job, finishing that, and then continuing on my project work. Generally, I was just not really finding time to take care of myself. I was also experiencing some life changes during this time, and it all just became too much. My motivation and drive to work towards my goal was gone. I had failed. But the thing about failure is that it's kind of subjective. I mean, okay, yes, objectively, I did fail to create 12 games this year, but I feel like it would be dishonest for me to say that this year was a failure. I learned a lot about realistic goal setting. I learned a lot about how and when I do my best work. I learned so much about how long things actually take me versus how long I think they'll take me. I've gotten way, way better at wrapping up a project, finishing it, and getting it out there. I walked away with 1, 2, 3, 4 completed, published games. That's more than I've ever done in a single year. And I discovered a brand new workflow for getting my hand-drawn art style into my games. Halfway through this year, I found myself in a place where I could no longer do my best work, especially at a pace that would let me publish 12 games that I was proud of before the end of the year. And it's really important for me to feel pride in the things that I'm putting out into the universe. And all that said, doesn't mean I just gave up. All right? For the past 6 months, when I found the energy and the time, I have been creating what I believe is the best game that I've ever made. Game number 5, with its perfect concept and very reasonable scope, has taken me much, much longer than I ever would have expected. And it's still only 2/3 of the way done. But it's just a project that I really believe in. To celebrate the end of this year, I would like to share what I have so far with you all. This is Too Many Teeth. It's a game where you pilot a drone way up into the clouds to do dental care on these colossal monsters. I won't show you too much here. It's really a game that I feel you have to experience for yourself. I've uploaded a demo and have linked it in the description, and I would really encourage you to go and check it out, and please give me some feedback so that when I do finish the game, it'll be the best that it can possibly be. Now, once again, I find myself asking, what's next for Greenbox Games? I've been making games for 10 years now. I started off when I was just a little kid, making simple games in Scratch. Eventually, I moved on to Gamemaker and published my first game on itch.io when I was in grade 8. I participated in a bunch of game jams, getting better and better each time. My true goal has always been to be able to make games for a living. I'm 20 now, and I feel like I'm the closest that I've ever been. I feel like I've finally reached the point where I feel that the games that I make are worth people's money. But I've also learned this year how daunting a task it can be to even finish those smaller projects. So for now, I'm going to be taking a bit of a step back. I'm going to finish Too Many Teeth. I'm going to release that full, finished, complete game later this year. I'm thinking about maybe hosting a game jam. I've really enjoyed seeing people's projects when they share them with me in my Discord server. Also, now that I've revealed my wonderful face to you all, I feel like I'd like to do some more exciting video content and get really creative with what I'm putting on YouTube. Really, I don't have a plan. All I can tell you right now is that this will not be the last video that I upload to this channel. Last year was really busy for me. I don't expect this year will be any easier, but I want to set myself up to have a bit more success. And so for this year, I'm not setting any crazy challenges. I'm just going to try and finish the things that I've started and take a little rest. But one day, maybe when I have a better structure set up for myself, maybe when I can commit all of my hours each week to making games, I would love to revisit the 12 Games in 12 Nights challenge. Anyway, I really appreciate you watching this video to the end. This is the first time I've been on camera, so a little bit nervous, but I feel like it went okay, you know? Let me know what you think in the comments, and please go check out that Too Many Teeth demo. I'm really excited about that game. Just try and make it to level 4. If you make it to level 4, you will understand. All right, thank you guys for watching.